Hello. There is more to food than just what we eat. There is also when we eat. There is also how many times we eat. We'll be discussing meal patterns and just what they mean from infancy to old age in the next half an hour, and we hope you'll join us.
The following program presents principles designed to promote good health and is not intended to take the place of personalized professional care. The opinions and ideas expressed are those of the speaker. Viewers are encouraged to draw their own conclusions about the information presented. Welcome to Help Yourself to Health with Dr. Agatha Thrash of UG Pines Institute. And now, here's your host, Dr. Thrash.
In ancient times, people only ate 2 meals a day. Why was that? Well, partly because they were rural people, and as many rural people do even today. They get up in the morning at an early hour, they go out and do some work in the fields, then they come back in and have a rather late breakfast, maybe 8 or 9 o'clock, and then they go back out to the fields and work until 3 or 2 in the afternoon. Then they have their lunch, what would be a late lunch, and then if they have supper at all, it will be something like milk and bread or juice and bread. It's not a big meal in the evening, so it's essentially 2 meals and a small snack in the evening, even though they are hard farm workers. So the meal pattern needs to be studied. We need to find out whether that's a good meal pattern, 2 meals a day, or 2 meals and a snack, or 3 meals or 4 meals. We need to study that and find out what it is that science tells us concerning our meal pattern. We also need to study what our own experience can be. And so to help us to delve into some of these things, I have John Champion with me, who is a health educator at UG Pines and in administration there. And so he's going to talk with you some about experiences with the 2-meal plan. John Champion.
Experiences with the 2-meal plan, yes. I used to have a 6-meal plan, Dr. Thrash. I'd have my breakfast, and around 7 o'clock in the morning, at 9 o'clock I had a little something, and then at about noon I had my second big meal, and then about 3 o'clock in the afternoon a little snack there, and then about 5:30 or 6 in the evening there would be supper, and then sometimes a little bit more on my way to bed in the evening. And then if I didn't feel really well, I would have a little something on my way from the bathroom at night around 1 o'clock in the morning. I was eating all the time. I didn't feel very good. I felt tired all the time. I felt irritable much of the time. My wife used to wonder, what was wrong with you? Well, I just nibbled and ate like a lot of people do, perhaps. Well, that's what I did. And then about 27, 28 years ago, I began to learn of a new way, 2-meal plan. I didn't know how you could possibly live on 2 meals. I was just barely making it on 6 and 7. But I read the material and began to understand some of the principles there and began to try to put it together personally. My wife and I started to try to do this. Well, how do you do it? How do you put a 2-meal plan together where you get all the nutrition and vitamins that you need and have the health that you need and so forth? Well, we tried it. We tried to do it. We started, first of all, we tried a early morning meal. I used to go to work and I'd get up and have breakfast at about 5:30 in the morning. And I said, well, let's have breakfast at 5:30, and then when I come in the evening, we'll have the second meal. So we tried that. It didn't work very well. It was a long time between the first meal and second meal. It's a very long time, and we were very gaseous, and then, of course, we were going to bed and still had a lot of food undigested. That didn't work out well. We finally gradually shifted it to it is where it is today, and now we have a plan that works very well for us. We have our breakfast at 6:30 in the morning, and then we have our next meal at 1:30 in the afternoon, and the body rests for about almost 18 hours a day. My stomach is resting after it finishes its work. So it rests, and I rest, and my wife rests. There are many advantages to that. My wife used to fix 3 meals a day, cook 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. That's 21 meals. Today, she cooks about 4 or 5 meals. and that's all that's required. The rest, things are prepared. We've learned how to do things much more simply. And there are a lot of advantages to that, to the two-meal plan. It is ideal for adults. It turns to be also ideal for children too, once they reach a certain age. I believe Dr. Thrash will be talking more about that to you. Now, I would like to talk about some of the advantages of the two-meal plan. Skipping supper can save costs. It can save as much as 1/3 of your grocery bill. Grocery bills are high, and as you know, they're only going one way. They're going higher and higher. And that can put a little bit of jingle into your pocket. 1/3 savings. Also, skipping supper gives you some extra time that you don't have to prepare this meal. Time that you can spend with your family, time that you can spend on the extra project, time that you could spend doing something that you need to do or like to do, a letter that you need to write, a meditation or whatever. You can do that. You have that extra time. It also can cut your kitchen chores, less dishes to wash and put away, less cooking to prepare. That's a real benefit. I think the madam would like that if your husband would insist on the two-meal plan. It'll be a real benefit to them. The two-meal plan helps regulate the body weight. Overweight people usually lose weight, and those that are underweight gain weight. Now, it's interesting for myself. I actually weigh about 5 pounds more now on the two-meal plan than I weighed on my 6-meal plan. Now, you try to figure that out. We've saved a lot of money as a result of that, too. Without supper to burden the stomach, the mind is alert for evening worship, for socialization, for anything like that you'd like to do. The mind is clear. It's an old saying that if your stomach is operating, your mind is slowing down and not running at all very well. So you have time to think. You have better thoughts, and you're able to do much more with the thinking processes. With an unburdened stomach, which is what you have, because the second meal is usually early enough in the day so that you can go to bed on an empty stomach. I know it sounds like a crime. I've heard it so many times. You wouldn't want to send a child to bed on an empty stomach, would you? And yes, that's exactly what you'd like to do. When you go to bed at night, you'd like to have your stomach finished so that you are resting and your stomach is resting. And every time your little valve is opening in your stomach and you're turning, twisting back and forth, you don't have that experience. You're resting, your body is resting, and you feel a lot better. When the digestive system is at rest, the entire body rests better. Less sleep is needed. And the sleep is more peaceful, more restful. You get more out of it. That's a wonderful benefit right there. You don't wake up groggy in the morning. Without food in the stomach, to draw the blood away from the skin, the body can sleep comfortably in a cooler room with fresh air. That's a real benefit also. You have fewer problems with chilly night. In the morning, you don't wake up with bad breath and eyes that are red, and your mind is alert. You don't have those heavy bags under the eyes, and you don't need that makeup. When you wake up in the morning, the window has been open, and you're just refreshed. You're ready for whatever the next day offers, and that's good. That's good. It gives you a lot of energy. The stomach, instead of having that all-gone feeling from exhaustion, feels at peace. No gnawing beast in the stomach. Regularity, which the two-meal plan offers to us, regularity allows the body system to move very smoothly. All of nature is on a system. The sun rises on time, it goes down at a certain time, it's all very predictable. And when you're on a two-meal plan and you stick with your times, the proper times for eating, whichever times you have selected, you find that your digestive juices flow at a certain time. You are ready for whatever comes your way. When breakfast time comes, the stomach is ready. I notice in the morning we have breakfast at 6:30. At 6 o'clock in the morning, when the table is being set and so forth and so on, it's very interesting. There's no sensation of hunger whatsoever. I was telling my wife the other day, Louise, I says, I don't feel hungry at all. She says, well, I don't either. At 6:30, when it's time for us to eat, we begin to feel things happening within, and we're ready for the meal. When we start eating a meal, we eat heartily, and we eat gratefully. We're very thankful for what the Lord has provided, and then we're off to our work. And it's a real blessing not to have a sense of hunger in between meals, where we used to feel all the time because we were so irregular in our eating. Now we don't worry about that at all. We don't even think about food until it's time for us to eat. We've found that those on the 2-meal plan have less temptation to eat in between meals and can comfortably wait until mid-afternoon for the second meal. An evening snack we don't usually need. We rarely ever have an evening snack. Rarely do. You find also that when you're on a 2-meal plan, it's a lot easier to deal with irregularities. If you have to miss a meal because of traveling or it's inconvenient for whatever reason, then it's no problem. If you need to fast for a meal or a day or so, it's no problem. It's very interesting. If you're going to fast, at the regular time for your eating, you feel a little bit of hunger. If you don't take it at that time, during that meal period, after that, the hunger is gone. You have no more sensation of it until it's time for the next regular meal. That's a blessing. The body can become as regulated as all of nature can. And that's what we're talking about. Finally getting our bodies back in harmony with nature. What is best for us? A clean, rested stomach is a prerequisite to having good blood. We're told that perfect health requires perfect circulation. Well, it also is important what is being circulated. Good, clean, healthy blood is possible there with the regularity. With the stomach enjoying longer periods of rest, the danger of ulcers is lessened. And if you have an ulcer, it's not irritated quite as much because of these untimely meals that you'd be taking, snacking and whatnot. And even pregnant ladies. We find that pregnant ladies that are on a 2-meal plan, they have more milk. And in fact, that it's a real blessing for them. Some have gone on the 2-meal plan, had a nice flow of milk supply, gone off the 2-meal plan, back to the 3rd meal, and their milk stopped and didn't return again until they went back to the 2-meal plan. Dr. Thrash, I think there's something to the 2-meal plan. What do you say?
Oh yes, it's a physiologic thing. And I've been very pleased to study about the 2-meal plan. The year was 1960 when I first became interested in this. I was teaching at Columbus University at that time, anatomy and physiology, which at that time was a required course for all the graduates from the university system. So I had a lot of students and I enjoyed teaching the class. And one of the things that I had as I was presenting the anatomy and physiology of the gastrointestinal tract was the various phases of digestion. And I learned from studying this and getting prepared to teach my class that the best plan for human beings is a 2-meal pattern, that we do best on that kind of thing. So as I began to study about this, I thought I should try to put this into effect in my own life. And that's something that I recommend for you too. Once you learn something that's beneficial, start immediately to making plans. You may not make an instantaneous change, but you should start immediately to making plans for that change, and then as soon as it is feasible, you begin to slide into it. Well, that's what we began to do in our own home. And we had quite an experience with changing from a 3-meal plan to a 2-meal plan, that experience being extreme hunger during that time for that 3rd meal. It just seemed that the appetite was the very best at that time that it ever possibly could be. So I made a New Year's resolution on January the 1st that I was going to eat nothing else in the evening. And for 3 months, until the first day of April, I struggled with that every day. Every day I could think about how much food I had in certain places in the refrigerator and how nice it would be to eat that food. But by careful discipline and training and protecting myself from having to think about or see that food, I came to the place where I did not have to eat that food. So by about 3 months was what it took, and now it never crosses my mind, it never enters my head to eat in the evening. I have really no appetite for evening food. And yet I eat a hearty breakfast, a hearty lunch, not so hearty as breakfast, and then I have no appetite, no desire to eat from then on. And I can be around other people who are eating, and I'm perfectly fine. I have no desire to eat. Now there are some other parts of the 2-meal plan, and for that John Champion is going to talk with you some more about the 2-meal plan. John Champion.
Yes, I would like to share a few ideas here about instructions on eating. Some counsels are eat largely fruits and vegetables prepared in a natural and tasty way. It's best also that if the two are separated, we in our home, we have a vegetable meal, basically vegetables and grains and nuts and seeds and things like that at one meal, and then fruits at another meal, primarily fruits and grains and nuts and so forth, or seeds. And we find that it works best that way because both of these two groups of food require different enzymes to digest, and it's best that they are digested separately. Number two is that you should vary your diet from meal to meal. It's not best to eat the same thing every day prepared the same way. Variety is good, but it shouldn't be too great of a variety. Two to four items per meal is probably the best, besides bread and a spread and so forth. 3 is what most people use, and some 4. Whole grains should be used instead of bolted wheat, whole wheat bread and whole wheat flour, rye and oatmeal, and less of the polished and the prepared things that are already pre-cooked. It's best to do your own. We want maximum nutrition as well as maximum taste. It's interesting how those two go together. Nutrition and natural taste go very closely together. And we should limit our intake of sugars. There are a lot of, if we do have a sweet tooth, there are a lot of things that can provide for that sweet tooth. There are dried fruits that are excellent and delicious, and they're nutritious, and you shouldn't find any problem with them. They go down very easily, very nicely. It's very important, though, in our 2-meal plan to have a set time to eat. It's not a matter of being rigid. It's a matter of getting in harmony with nature. When you have that set time to eat and eat on time, your body does much better. Oh, you feel so much better. You rest better at night. You don't have that fuzzy tongue, as I mentioned before. When you wake up in the morning, you're just ready for the next meal, and you're ready for whatever takes place. And you shouldn't have anything in between meals except water. Water is the only thing we should take in between meals. That is a very important part of the program. If you eat something else in between meals, even so much as a peanut, it interferes with the digestion and causes the stomach to hold what you have already taken in longer than what it needs to do. And if your stomach is holding food in it longer than it needs to process that, it winds up fermenting. It winds up not making the best blood. And remember, it's the object of all that you eat to make good blood. So you want to take what is best in, and then you want to let it have the time that it needs to digest. Eat all you need, and then, but don't overdo it. Moderation is very important too. We can enjoy our food, and we should eat slowly. Eat slowly, chew, take your time. The enjoyment is in the mouth. The taste is in the mouth. There's no taste in the stomach. There's no taste as it's going down. It's in the mouth. So chew slowly, let it be mixed with the saliva real well, and enjoy all that God has planned for you in that meal. And drink enough water daily, which is a very important part. Again, water, so that your urine remains pale, and you'll find that you'll have better health. This 2-meal plan is I believe, heaven sent, and it provides all that we need, Dr. Thrash.
Yes, it does. It provides all that we need, and any more than that is really too much.
Amen.
Now, there have been a number of experiments scientifically performed that help us to know that the 2-meal-a-day plan is quite good. First is a large experiment that was done in this country on various animals. These animals showed a very important improvement in their health and in their longevity by eating a 2-meal plan. They could learn better, they had a better memory, they had fewer cases of dermatitis and gastroenteritis and various problems that animals often have. And interestingly enough, they had 93% fewer cancers than did animals that were on an ad lib plan. They could eat any time they chose and the food was always there. Then in Australia, a study was done on human beings showing that those who took a 2-meal plan and those 2 meals between a 6-hour span, let's say at 6 and 12, they had their 2 meals. Then they had an 18-hour fast. These individuals had less allergies, less asthma, less arthritis, less cancer, and a number of other diseases that, and of course, followed long enough, they also showed a longer span of life. There have been several studies that show a longer span of life in those individuals who take a 2-meal plan. So we can recognize that it is physiologic, it is helpful, and we can benefit much by it. Now, calorie restriction, simply reducing the number of calories that you take in a day, also helps us to live longer. It exposes us to fewer allergens, therefore we're less likely to have allergies, less likely to have asthma. Of course, these things are all just self-explanatory. They are just as we would think they should be. A restriction in calories is inevitable with a 2-meal plan. And as John Champion told you, it's around a third less food that you take in, maybe as little as a quarter for some people, but for many people it's a significant quantity of saving of money and saving of the number of calories. Then we understand that the likelihood of Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's disease is also much less with a 2-meal plan. And since the weight is down, then of course hypertension and cancer and heart disease are also less likely to be afflictions that people would experience who are on the 3-meal plan. The cognitive decline, or the ability to recognize things and to think and to remember things and to plan and execute those plans, all of those are also better in individuals who take in fewer calories, whose calories are restricted. Now, so far as infants are concerned, infants are on a different pattern. Their physiology is different, their anatomy is different than that of the mature person. But as the gastrointestinal tract and its accessory organs mature through the years, they gradually develop the adult-type pattern. So we might ask the question, at what time, what age, would it be proper to train a child to take a 2-meal plan? Well, for most children between the ages of 1 and 3, you can train them to a 2-meal plan. And we have found, and I have observed as I have seen children in my own family as well as in other people's families, I have observed that it goes against nature to give them a 3rd meal. You have to call them in from play and say, it is now time to come and have your evening meal, or as many people call it, a dinner. And dinner should not be held in the evening. If you're going to have something in the evening, it should be a light supper. But even that children very quickly get so they do not need, and if food is not out and other people are not eating, or if they do not know that mealtime is supposed to be served at this time, they will not ask for food. They are not hungry, and so they go to bed with an empty stomach, which means they will rest better and will wake up more refreshed and in a much better mood the next day. Now, when an infant is born, what kind of schedule do you put the infant on at that time? Well, perhaps various authorities will have different ideas, and I will tell you what my idea is. If a child is born underweight, and we're concerned about its weight, then I say let the child eat when the child can. But as John Champion mentioned in the talk that he gave, he actually gained a little weight when he went on the 2-meal plan. The reason for that is a greater efficiency of the digestive system. Your infant may also have a better digestive efficiency on fewer meals per day than on an on-demand schedule. So you need to do a little experimenting with your child. But as long as the child is underweight, then you may properly think an on-demand feeding schedule would be fine. But certainly by the time the child reaches 8 pounds, then the child can be put on a schedule every 4 hours, and possibly going all the way through the night, certainly going 6 hours during the nighttime hours without eating at all. And that's a great help to the mother, who doesn't have to get up so many times. I remember the story about a German nanny who was taking care of an infant, and doting father and doting mother wanted to go in and feed the child when the child cried during the night. But German nanny was standing there with her hands on her hips right beside the child's door. And the child cried a little while and then stopped crying and went back to sleep. So this we can do also with our children. And once we put them on a schedule and they stick to it, then they are happier and we're happier as well. We have more time to do other things with the child. Now, you should not think that a child has a perverted appetite because they eat enough that even in infancy they may even regurgitate a bit. That does not mean that they have a perverted appetite because they eat that much. Generally, a child has not lost its signals that tell it when it has had enough and when it should quit eating when it is still just an infant. So it is proper for the mother to say that that child can eat as much as the child wishes. Now, once the child gets to be 5 or 6 or 7, that is no longer the case. Then, at that point, the mother needs to make the decision as to how much the child should eat. Then, the mother judges by such things as bloating, gas, bad breath, the bowel movement pattern, and some other things to help her to decide if the child has eaten too much. Now, with these signals, then the mother can be guided. If the child is gaining weight and gaining strength at a proper speed, then of course we can understand that the child is having enough to eat. Our Heavenly Father loves to have us eat the food that He has provided. He has made it delicious. He has made it abundant. He has made it very varied. And so we can thank the Lord when we eat His food.